Last week on Masters SA, we returned to London to race 2 laps of the London 8, a tricky course that contained 2 sprint hotspots and 2 KOM hotspots. The first sprint came up at around 7.5 kilometers. We saw Tiens van der Bank make a monumental effort at the front. He was, however, outfoxed by Waldo Sevenster, who used the draft of the group to record a better time across the segment, which is how this competition works as opposed to first across the line. The race really got interesting as we hit the climb for the first time and was split up into a large chasing group and a much smaller breakaway group containing, amongst others, Eddie Houle and Aquino. It became apparent quite quickly that either of these two would be the winners of the race. Even though there was a concerted chase behind them, the gap kept on growing and the group was unable to bring them back. Up the climb, Gustavo Aquino made the first move, but halfway up, Eddie was able to bring him back. Eddie crested the climb with about a 2-second lead on Gustavo. And by this stage, it was apparent that he was the stronger of the two. In the finishing stretch, Eddie set up a bit. Gustavo used an aero power up to catch up to him. But the moment he was overtaken, Eddie utilized the drafting power up, using Gustavo's own draft to take him at the line. Eddie Houle, the winner of race 2 of the Masters SA Winter Series. Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to Race 3 in the Masters SA Winter Series 2021. And welcome to Aaron Burrell and Sean Peters.
How's it, guys?
Hey guys, good to see you all. We're in for a fantastic, long, challenging race this week. Very excited about it. I think we can pick our favorites a little later. I'm not going to call that now, but I know Sean Peters might pressure me into making that call.
No, I'm certainly going to pressurize you into it. Watching some of the guys live this morning, luckily enough, we still had some live racing this morning down from the Western Province crit race down at Killarney, and I see some of the names back here. So these I just don't get enough of riding. But Aaron, I think the name that you're going to call was not there today. So we're going to put you on the spot right now, and we're going to want an answer.
Are we going to talk about King of the Mountain hotspot points or the overall? Those are very two different points in the race.
Let's start with the KOM then.
Yeah, let's do KOM.
Very interesting because I saw a name on the start line now, a name of Craig Boys. And just from experience and watching the way Craig has raced in the past, particularly on some of the Zwift races, he's not afraid of going for any attacks. And depending on how he paces his race and what he decides to do, I think he might be a threat. But then we've got, the usual suspects, and we've got a nice addition today. We got Gary Muller.
It's nice to have Gary on.
From Canyon Esports. So I was chatting to Querbus before the feed. And so we've got the top 3 races currently ranked on Zwift from South Africa tonight. So we got Eddie Hull, Gary Muller, and Peter Avenant. So, it's going to be coming back to that point, who's going to be the fastest up the Epicom. That's going to come down to who works together and how many guys get off the front. But we will see names such as Gary Muller. We will see Eddie Hull. We'll probably see Christian if he's there, Gustavo Aquino, Craig Boys. There's Murray Crabe. I was joking with Valdo earlier. I told him he's going to win the race today, so I'm going to throw the Vomit Comet's name out there as well. So you never know.
Poor guy. Old Valdo. I don't think it's his kind of profile.
No, but I thought it might sort of spur him on to make an attack earlier on.
It's just nice to have the young man there from Stellenbosch joining us this evening. Craig Boys, how's it, Mr. Boys? If you are listening to us, good to have you on board, man.
Craig is power, but I've yet to see him perform on Zwift.
Yeah, so this might be a surprise attack.
Tonight might be that night, but you guys are dodging the question. Querbus, who's going for that big comment? Sean, don't change the subject, mate.
Okay, I'm gonna say Christian for the com and Eddie Hull for the overall for the victory today.
Yeah, I'm gonna double back that. I think the guys are off there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'm not. I don't know if I'm on the same feed as you guys, but the guys are off.
You're right. We're off.
Great stuff.
Doing the lead in right now. There's a short lead in before the clock stops, and there we go. Racing is on.
I just want to tell you guys something about Christian. You mentioned his name. I was going to mention that name because I watched him pick up a sidewalk cut this morning down at Killarney. I don't know if it was intentional. We tried to save his race by getting another tire, and then we tried to get another rim. And I remembered at 6:15 he's going to be here. So I don't know if that was intentional. I don't think it was. But I knew he was going to save his legs for tonight for this KOM. So let's watch what he does.
What was he like before he got a sidewalk catch? Because he was still sick up until 2 days ago.
Yeah, no, he looked pretty good. I must tell you, we had some ladies that had come all the way from Egypt, and one of them, Shanae Williams, doing a fantastic job in the ladies, suffering with a crazy bout of septicemia in a leg, and she made a comeback literally within the last couple of days and dominated this morning. Just incredible to see some athletes what they can do.
Yeah.
when you got to dig in deep, and I mean, Aaron Borrell, we're just talking offline very quickly about your incident. You got to get up and get back on, and just to watch these guys. I always, as a commentator, always call them legends of our sport. Is when you can dig in deep, get yourself back on that saddle, and smash out those watts and smash out either a KOM or an overall victory. So well done to these riders. It's incredible what they can do.
Yeah.
Aaron, let's clear the room quickly. What happened to your eye?
This eye over here. I was. I don't want to take too much time away from the action here. What's going on our screen?
I know, but I don't want the viewers to make their own.
I was competing in the regional XCO champs on Sunday. Big field, about 65 riders. They combined sub-vet with vets. Got off to a really stressful start. Lots of guys were panicking. First 500 meters, the start chute sort of funneled into a very narrow bridge area. Some chap collided with me, and he sent us both off a bridge, and I went head first into a riverbed. Didn't even have time to react to put my hand down. And I cracked my helmet in half. Smashed my face open. Here's the helmet. So it's a Met Rival MIPS. You can see it
used to be one.
Flapping.
Wow.
In half. Contacted the guys at Met, and they said that blow was a massive amount of force to concentrate the blow to that area, and they actually asked for it to come back to them so they can have a look at it.
Sure.
And they were happy that I wasn't concussed. So it had that MIPS slip plane liner inside, which lets the helmet and the inside of the helmet move on different planes, which can actually prevent the brain injury. I did continue, probably stupidly. In retrospect, I probably should have gone checked out, but I'd driven an hour and a half to get to the venue, and I was like, I really don't want to go home and do work.
Well, if you weren't concussed, I guess you didn't know any better. You didn't have a mirror to put up to yourself,
You know us South Africans.
Well, no, by the sounds of things, the Brits are poorly managed, pushing you off a bridge like that.
Yeah, it's very aggressive. They take things. I mean, I thought we took things seriously. These guys actually live for their racing. Probably not in the nicest way, if you want to call it that. So that's what happened here. I didn't get into a fight with my wife. Jenna still loves me.
I thought it was a bar fight.
Aaron looks like the kind of guy that puts away a lot of beers.
So Aaron, let's while we're staying with you, what is the course like this evening? We know we got the KOM at 9.
No, it's 9.5 kilometers long, Sean.
Not yet. 9.5.
Yeah, so they call this one the big.
Oh, there we go.
I personally haven't ridden this one, but Cobus was telling me that this was suggested by Christian Janssen van Rensburg, and I think why I think it's such an interesting course is that it's actually split up into two halves. So you've got the Epic Com, which makes up the first half. That's done all on tar. Then the guys are going to descend, and they're going to have to go into the jungle, which comprises probably 80 to 90% gravel. That's going to give them an opportunity to do a bike change, and then as they come out, they can do another bike change. Sure. We haven't actually seen that in a race like this before.
No.
If someone does go up the road and they get between 30 seconds and a minute, maybe more, maybe there's a group of them, and they do make the change, particularly or especially if they go for something like a mountain bike on the gravel, they're going to put a lot of time into the guys who keep their road bike.
Keep the road bike, yeah.
What guys do need to understand is that before you can swap that bike, your avatar has to come to a complete stop.
Sure.
That can take anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute. So that needs to be taken into account.
Oh, we are on the Epic Com, guys. The timer just started.
Yeah.
So the climb is starting now. It's going to start getting very difficult. This is a Category 2 climb. So we had some guys ask, in terms of difficulty, not in terms of the actual profile, but in terms of difficulty using the Tour de France classification system. This is quite similar to something like a Franschhoek Pass or a Baines Kloof as well.
Yeah,
sure.
What is interesting about this particular climb and where they are now, I don't know how many guys are listening, but they really need to push this section. It's very, very steep in the initial slopes, and you can make a lot of time and gain a lot of positions if you just dig a little deep. Reason I say this is that as they come around the last right-hand bend of this initial approach, they're going to get onto a flat bridge area that's going to take them across onto the second half of the EPICOM. That's pretty flat. If the group can stay together there, they're going to gain a lot of time on the guys afterwards. Then it's going to kick up, descend, kick up, descend, and then it's going to kick up again, and that's going to take them up to the top. So if anyone is listening now, this is where you need to dig deep. There's going to be a genuine draft benefit, albeit small, but you will be able to stay with the group or possibly get away if you want to do that. We can see Eddie has launched a little bit of an attack now. He has done this climb in around 17 minutes flat. That obviously has a lot to do with who he was racing with, because if you have a lot of guys who are on the same level and you can work together, you can go faster. But I was telling Querbus that I think the guys will probably do around 18 and a half minutes tonight up the climb.
Sure. Well, we saw that gradient as you were talking about it. The gradient went from 9% on an uphill gradient. I'd leveled off down to 3%, and then all of a sudden Eddie made that charge for it. So to the folks that are new to this, in terms of the KOM, it timed over a certain section, as Querbus mentioned, right as they got into that little time section. So and Querbus helped me out here, if I remember correctly, it's from that starting point to the top of the KOM that it will take that com at the top. It's not the first over the line.
That's it. So last week we actually saw on that on the first sprint, they work in a similar fashion. Tien's going for it off the front, and Valdo coming from way behind in the field, drafting through the field and actually doing a better time, even though he was nowhere near the front. He ended up taking the points at that first sprint jersey point. So the same thing goes here. But I think, I mean, given that everyone sort of hit the climb together, and the gaps just seem to be bigger on a climb, and all the first guy to the top is today in all likelihood is going to have the best time as well.
Yeah, we can see now it's already sort of broken up, but that group behind, led by David Garrett, they are going to make contact, and that's just going to cause the guys to sort of get a little twitchy. Some of the guys, I mean, the contenders here are not going to want it to stay as a bunch, as a big group. So we probably will see a couple of more moves, a couple of accelerated attacks, just to get rid of some of the weaker guys.
Yeah, we've got a long climb.
Donovan Lecoq's in here, Murray Graves in here, all the usual suspects. But you can see the way Eddie rides. He's on the front. He doesn't like sitting in the bunch. He wants to get rid of as many of his enemies as he can. It's going to be a tough effort. You've got Gustavo Aquino in there as well. And last week we also had that fella from Spain. Was it Marino?
He's here again, sitting in fourth.
He's here again. Hasn't done anything yet, but that's someone we can't write off. And then we also saw David Bailey and Rick Sorensen in the mix as well again.
Yeah. Peter Matthijssen also just might have missed him there. He's riding right next to Christian Johansson from Rensburg, also a great rider. Going to be interesting to see what he can do. Donovan Lecoq, you mentioned him early on, also a guy that we know that can dig in deep and put out the watts when he needs to do it. So let's see how long he holds on to Eddie's tail.
Yeah, for sure. We're not climbing up to the tower today, are we, Aaron?
I don't think so, no. I don't think it's to the tower. That would just be unfair on the guys, I think.
It would be horrific. This is tough enough as it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure that changes it into a Category 1 climb if you do the whole thing to the top of that tower.
Yeah, but they're already a quarter of the way up, which is just showing you, how fast they're going. I mean, we go 30 k's an hour already. Eddie at 400 watts. That's well over 6 watts a kilogram for the young man. So he's not waiting around here.
No, that's for sure. He's putting the pain on here. So it's already really splitting up a bit. If we go back to the chasing group, we can see, the group behind them probably not going to get back on. Some of them might.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important that guys who are falling off or losing contact with a group and they find themselves alone, it's very important that they dig a little deeper to get onto the group in front, or sit up a little, catch the group behind, because if they don't have anyone with them on the descent, they're going to lose more time than on this climb itself. The more guys you have in that draft, the faster that blob is going to travel together, and that's something that they need to take into consideration. I heard a lot of guys on the chat talking about the trainer difficulty settings.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a gray area, because it doesn't really refer to it making the climb necessarily difficult. What it does, the easiest way to explain it is it makes the changes in the terrain more, you can feel it more. So if you're going from a flat into a climb, it's literally like you're hitting a wall. It comes down to you tailoring that to get the right feel that feels natural for you. That said, anything below 50 and it starts feeling unnatural, you've got to spin a much higher cadence, you can actually spin out as well. You still need to put out the watts.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that Zwift themselves, especially for a race series like the Zwift Racing League, they set it standard at 50. So no matter what you do before entering that pen for the race, it gets set 50 across the board for everyone, and that's even for the pro. So depending on your trainer, a lot of it also comes down to the trainer. You just need to find that natural feel for you, something that feels like it does outdoors. A lot of the guys on the Tax Neos are using it at 100%,
Sure.
which is fine. If that's how you want to ride and it suits you, that's okay. But it doesn't mean the climb is going to be tougher for you than the guy that has it on 50% because you got it at 100. Doesn't mean you're doing 50% more work. It's just going to be you're going to feel a little bit more of the terrain, the nuances of the terrain than someone who's got it on 30, 40, 50.
Okay.
I mean, technically, you will be putting out the same power to make the same move, but but ultimately, your body might be more efficient at a higher cadence or a low cadence, depending. So it does affect outcome, on that basis. Somebody going 100% who might be forced to grind at a cadence of 50 or 40 at some stage, whereas the guy at 50% can keep going at his comfortable cadence of 85, putting out the same watts.
Yeah, having done some experimentation, 100% to me just feels unnatural. I've never done a climb where I've had to do like 20 cadence ever. And at 100% on my Elite Director XR, something like the Epicom is almost impossible to get up comfortably at 100%. I usually have mine between 70 and 80. It feels more sort of natural for me. But then when entering a race like the Zwift Racing League, it gets put at 50% standard. So you can't do anything.
Okay.
That's the way the race has been organized.
And would there be a difference, like you just mentioned, in a tax trainer versus maybe like the Elite or the Wahoo? Would that make any difference to the physical characteristics of the trainer when you're on it?
I think they all have different levels of feel.
Okay.
The software and firmware is a bit different, so are the internals. It's not going to be much different, really.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder on yourself if you have it at 100% and you're going to be grinding. But you want to make it feel natural, because you're not going to be climbing up Franschhoek Pass at 10 cadence.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
not if you can avoid it.
If you can avoid it, yes, unless you do top intervals.
All right, Eddie Hull still on board with him at the moment.
Yeah, these two have got an 11-second gap now.
Eddie Hull and Gustavo, best mates. These guys are best mates, and I'm being sarcastic here.
How's Eddie's Uruguayan?
Arch enemies, these two. But yeah, they've shown mutual respect for each other. They both know each other, and it's going to cause them to bring the best out of each other in a scenario like this. I just want to see what these two do when it comes to the gravel section. Are they going to stop, change a bike? We know that Eddie does have that ability in terms of his time trialing, but Gustavo as well is just ruthless at attacking. The guy just lives for his attacks, but that did prove to be his undoing last week.
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of guys went for Tron bikes. I suppose, it's not the best climbing bike in Zwift, but it is quite aero. So I suppose it means you can go down the other side reasonably quick.
Yeah, it's a good all-round option. The Tron bike, it also looks good, and lots of guys do that just for the fashion statement it makes, as well.
Yeah, these are vets.
So there's a really sizable chasing group here, comprising Marino, I think Janse van Rensburg, Donovan Lecoq, Rick Sorensen. These guys are quality riders. They need to work together. They're going to have to take turns on the front because they can catch these two up the road.
Yeah.
And once they get to if they can crest together and get into the descent all at the same time, the race is only going to start once they hit the gravel. So it's very, very important, guys. If you are listening, work together here, dig deep. It's worth the suffering. It really is. There's no real difference between you guys and the two up front. It's you can catch them. You can really catch them.
I think so. It'll have a massive advantage on the descent, which the two up front won't have, and you'll have that advantage without pedaling. That's the best part.
I mean, what's going to happen now? The guys are going to ride through this tunnel section now, and they're going to go through on the other end. It extends for quite a bit. As they move out of the tunnel completely, there's going to be a slight rise, and then there's going to be two massive dips where they can super tuck if they want. But they need to be cognitive of the fact of those guys up the road. If I were them and I was in this group now, I would smash that descent. They're going to carry a lot of momentum up those hills, almost nullifying the effect with the momentum that they can carry. Some of them might need to recover, but at the same time, there are only two guys up front working together. They've got a groupie of around 10. They technically can be faster, especially on those descents coming up now.
Yeah, I thought they would have, with this climb, would have broken up that group that you're talking about a little bit more. But it seems to me that they are working together, Aaron.
Yes, they are, and you can see the descent it's coming up now. So there's a series of descents, but it's easier said than done. I know it is, but you really need to graft on these descents. I know.
So we're going to see some super tucks coming from one or two of them.
I wouldn't say super tuck. I would say just pedal as hard as you can.
Okay.
I wouldn't use the recovery now. The recovery is once they get at the top.
Okay.
It's very important that they work together here and just suffer as much as they can, because now it's going to kick up again, but then it's going to descend again, and then we're in for the last approach to the summit.
All right.
But it does look like they are working together quite nicely now. The gap is about 28 seconds. And it looks like Gustavo has attacked Eddie. It looks like he's got a 3-second gap on Eddie.
Sure. So certainly not working together, the two of them.
No, it's how
first man for themselves up onto the top of that comp section.
What I mentioned before, it's how Gustavo rides. He's a selfish rider. He only rides for himself. Even if you look when he rides for the World Elite Zwifters, which is the team he rides for, he just wants to put out those huge numbers. He's a watts per kilo rider. It's not about the result. It's how much watts he can average at the end of the race. So he's not going to work together with Eddie. It's quite clear. But at the same time, it's a pointless attack now because he's not going to get away on that descent. And I can tell you now, if the guys do work together on the descent, this is going to come back together.
Yeah.
Especially if either of these two stop for a bike change. It's not over. It's far from over.
Yeah, that's when I think the exciting bit is going to start on this race. And Aaron, you were just talking about those watts per kilo. He was going to the red line there. In fact, I've never seen it going to like 8.5 watts per kilogram. To the folks that are watching in, it's on the it would be on your right-hand side corner. You can actually see it per kilogram. The watts that he was pushing out, it's dropped off now. But as Aaron was talking about it, he was in the 8s, high 8s, low 8s. For a couple of seconds. So, I mean, that is massive power.
Yeah, it's what he does. I mean, he's not a.
There we go.
He's a really, really good rider. He's a talented rider. Not much of a sprinter, but this guy has an innate ability to just ride a threshold for long, long periods of time. The problem comes in, he does have a propensity to overcook himself. So he doesn't know when to dial it back. He gets overexcited. And
Well, look at that heart rate.
Yeah, he just absolutely cooks himself.
Yeah.
I see Eddie is now live on his stream.
Are we going to try and bring Eddie in again? I'm not too sure, Cobus. I'm putting you on the spot here. I know I did last week.
I think it depends on the feeds and just the time of day.
But as we were talking about that, I just looked back down to Eddie Hull, and his watts per kilogram were at 9.8 in that little section. So, geez, these guys are pushing out big numbers, guys.
Yeah, what I've seen with some of these guys, particularly the top riders, on a climb like this, if a gap forms, they do these little micro bursts of power repeatedly. And that can kind of sometimes close the gap a lot sooner than if you had to do a sustainable sort of seated effort. And that could be what we're seeing here. It still hurts, but it just closes the gap a little quicker. And it's one of those sort of Zwift in-game nuances, if you want to call it that, because at the end of the day, it still is a computer game. Here we go. Here's the summit coming up, and it looks like Gustavo is going to take the honors. Although, yes, he is. He's going to take the honors.
Yeah, by some margin.
No, yep.
Yeah, Eddie Hull dropped off considerably there towards the end of that.
So he's about 7 seconds off, and the chasing group 44 seconds.
Yeah.
Most of them still together by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting just to see what that chasing group does in terms of chasing back seconds on the descent, because if you're man alone, you cannot travel as fast as a bunch.
Yeah.
How's Murray Crab doing? I saw his name sneak down at the bottom there. Can we see what position he's in? He's in that pack though. Yes, he is.
No, he's dropped off.
He's dropped off.
27 seconds off.
It's 20 seconds off this chasing group, which is splintering a bit. So it's not a good tactic on their part.
It's not, but you can see that these guys mean business. They don't want to stay behind. I mean, we have Donovan here. He obviously wants to get back in contact. We've seen before that he can dig deep, as Sean said. He's known for it in real life as well. And yeah, it's a pity that they didn't catch sooner, because although you want that recovery on the descent, you want to chase it back as well as quick as possible, just to minimize any damage once they do hit that gravel. And I mean, Donovan isn't far off. Looking at the epic com times, I can see on
not at all.
Strangely, Gustavo's name hasn't registered on the epic com banner.
I was just going to say, I don't see it there. Who
That's
is that,
odd, because look, I mean, next to his name, he's got the jersey. So
it is showing. Yeah.
Look there. If you look next to Gustavo's name on the right hand side, he's got the little polka dot jersey.
There. But yeah, I mean, Donovan and the chasing group were 30 seconds behind. I mean, that time, Donovan's time of 17:47 is absolutely flying. I said that, around 18 and a half minutes is probably what we're going to see tonight, just in terms of a really good time. These guys went below 18 minutes. That's absolutely flying.
Sure. Yeah.
Gustavo did about 17:05.
Now that's really quick. On this descent, though, there is a little sort of kicker about a kilometer in. I think Gustavo's on it now.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
So this is an area where he's probably not going to, he is pushing it for some reason. He's not going to get away. Mark my word, he's not going to get away. But the chasing pack, if there's an area that they can make up some time, they absolutely need to murder that little kicker.
Yeah, so just having a look down at my notes now, and Aaron did allude to it. I think things might change up now when they do the crossover. Going to be very interesting to see what it comes down to.
Yeah, because if Sean, if Gustavo and Eddie decide to keep their bikes, and the guys behind, even if they're 40 for argument's sake, they're 40 seconds behind, they stop, they get the mountain bike, they can very quickly catch up to those two on mountain bikes without a doubt and pass them.
I was going to say they could put it in pretty quickly. You can knock off that 45 to 50 seconds fairly easy on the mountain bike.
Yeah, yes, you can.
So, Aaron, you're a time trialist. Don't you think riding gravel in Zwift is absolute murder.
It is.
I find it very, very difficult. So they've done quite well in terms of, even if you're not doing that much climbing, that simulated grind that you experience on gravel.
It's horrible. It really is. That burning in the chest and the lungs and the legs. I don't know how it sort of comes through and just permeates the Zwift, the trainer, but it really, you can feel that resistance.
Oh man,
it's hard to explain it, but you can really feel the way that resistance kind of dials in.
The introduction of gravel was quite popular with Zwift back in the day, when it came out, and then the mountain bikes, which have an advantage over it. Somebody told me, they're convinced it's about 1 watt a kilogram. You can maintain the same speed doing 3 watts versus 4 watts a kilogram.
Yeah, and then what's also interesting is I don't know what power ups were selected for this race. You can sort of, I think the organizer can manually choose those.
But we've got all of them other than the weird ones. So no burritos.
No burritos, but is there a steamroller option?
No. Steamroller.
The steamroller really comes into its own on a gravel section. So that's something worth noting in the future. Massive difference if you have something like that. So if that is awarded and the group goes into a gravel section together and they all power up, the steam
because
rolling,
that nullifies the rolling resistance.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if you've got 80% of the group firing up a steamroller and you don't have it, you're out the back.
Yeah.
Regardless if you Matthew van der Poel and Nino Schurter, you're out the back.
So Zwift make it sound very sophisticated. Their algorithms, I guess. So we love to call any sort of programming algorithms, don't we? Yeah. But one of the major inputs which they alluded to introducing the mountain bikes was everyone was obsessed with height, aero, and gradient, and weight, obviously. But they actually put a lot of efforts into grading rolling resistance as well, and that comes through in this in this course in particular. We've got a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, Eddie's
gap. Sorry, go ahead there, Clovis.
Eddie seems to have caught Gustavo as forecast, and he's now got a 4-second lead on him. And the other guys have closed the gap somewhat. So it's down to 35 seconds.
Very interesting. I wonder what's going on here.
Look, Gustavo will remember what happened last week. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, look, Eddie, if we think about things, guys, if we put things in perspective, okay? Gustavo is Gustavo. He's not going to stop. Let him go. Eddie, let Gustavo go. You stop. You've got a big enough lead on the chasing pack. Get your mountain bike, reel in Gustavo, attack him, burn him out, cook him, fry him, okay?
And spit him out the back.
Once you come out again, change your bike. Done.
Or even better, sit up a kilometer before the line, and as he attacks you, hit your drafting power up.
That's how you do it.
That's just mean.
Yeah, guys, I'm wondering if we're saying a bit too much now.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I think we need to tone it down.
No, that's what happened last week. That was incredible.
Yeah,
I must say. But look, if I were a betting man, I would have said both of these guys had that same tactic in mind. Because if you've got a 30-second gap, it takes approximately, if you've practiced this or watched the YouTube tutorial, Shane Miller's done quite a nice YouTube video on how to do a quick bike change. And there is a trick to it, I guess. If you can hit the gravel with a 30-second advantage, that's huge.
They've hit it. They've hit the gravel.
And there we go. So what's happening?
I just don't see Gustavo doing it, to be honest.
But Eddie's not doing it either.
He's not.
Well, clearly he's not doing it. Maybe Gustavo is riling him up.
Well, look, it is a descent, So even if he stops pedaling.
Guys, I've got to check if these guys do it. See, because we still.
I haven't hit it yet. What I'm saying, Corbus, is because Eddie and Gustavo are still on a descent, it makes no sense freewheeling. Once you get to a flat, your avatar will stop a lot sooner than if they had to get off the power now.
Okay.
But if these guys don't do it, and they're probably listening to us in the commentary box, the virtual commentary box, if Eddie and Gustavo aren't doing it, and now they're only How many seconds are they behind? I can't actually see at the moment.
They're about,
29.
I think it's about, yeah. I was going to say it's about 30 seconds behind.
If they brought it back, I mean, they're going to lose that advantage by changing. But yeah, we'll have to see.
They're still on their Tron bikes, these two, on the flat.
So, yeah, Eddie's 91 cadence, so he's going for it.
Yeah, definitely. You can look at the watts per kilogram. Nobody's stopping here. Christian stopped. It looks like he's... is he doing a bike change? Oh no, Christian, no! Don't start pedaling.
Let's hope he doesn't have another sidewall cut.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it at the moment.
Come on, Christian, get back on that bike, mate.
Christian didn't read the instructions. Oh, he's dropped out. Okay, we've lost him.
Oh no. Not great news at all.
Okay, let's get back to the frontier. Murray Crape. Ah, here we go. This is the chasing group. None of them are on mountain bikes.
There's no bike changes, guys, today. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's not a wise choice, but I mean, you do feel like if you do go into those virtual pit lane and you change your bike, you're losing time. And it's not just that amount of time, it's that momentum and that accumulative time that you're actually going to lose. And if the other guys aren't doing it, you're just by yourself. Are you going to close that gap?
Well, I just wish one or two of them had done it so we could conclusively say whether or not it would have been worth it,
Yeah.
But I guess if nobody's doing it, why take the risk?
I was hoping they would. It just gives us something to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, even though the
bike
draft is significant, I mean, surely there must be so much value in getting
the mountain bike. Yeah, the mountain bike is way faster.
Getting that easier ride.
Well, I must admit, I'm dying to give it a go, guys. I mean, Aaron, we've been chatting about it for 2 seasons now. I'm still not on one of these, and I need to get myself onto one. Got myself a bike this week. Now I just need to get onto the damn trainer and get onto Zwift, and I want to experience what you guys are talking about. I've been talking about it for, what are we now? Quibus, we're to season 3, I think, of Winter Series. Just in terms of the amount of seasons me and you've been working together. Just dying to do it. Aaron, I don't know if you know, but I'm back at Cadence for the last 3 months, and let me tell you, what a difference, my man.
Right.
That's what I'd love to get on to Zwift and see what I can do.
Yeah, you're gonna get hooked, Sean, but not just that. Just for you to just gain a little bit more of an understanding for what these guys are
100%
going through and what they're feeling. It's just adds so much of a different dynamic to the stationary sort of bike concept.
Yes.
Having something to look at. I know a lot of people ride Zwift, but then they watch a series on screen instead, but I'm one of those. I'm one of those guys that just watch my little avatar for hours.
Yeah.
I don't know. Genesis, I'm absolutely off my head to do that.
Yeah, look, the stationary trainer just it just doesn't work. I mean, that's why I love being back at actual Cadence, because it is preset and you've got to do a bit of work. There's no playing around. And if I just look at the watts that these guys are pushing out, it's pretty much the same as our VO2 max rides that we do.
Guys, something quickly. I've just looked. Christian Janssen van Rensburg's back on the bike. Can we just have a look?
I already checked. He's not on the mountain bike. I'm thinking he must have had an internet drop. Must be an internet drop. Can't be anything else. Which really sucks. So still, let's check David Garrett. Come on. Is nobody going to do a bike change?
Come on, David.
David.
He's the man who always says, pick your weapon wisely.
Exactly.
What does it mean?
I see also in the mix here, just looking down there, also one of the Uvakuta riders, Mark Kavanagh from all the way from Hermanus, also in the mix. To the Kavanagh family, if you are watching, hello from Cape Town. Mark Kavanagh is a great rider. There we go. On looking down, we've got Peter Avenant at the moment. And good to see all our lads, all our local riders. Is that Ben? Yeah, Benny Filion's also in the mix.
Yeah, he's here.
Jeez.
He's here.
Where's Mr. Gary Miller?
I don't know. Maybe He has done some of our rides and then had an easy night, because he's racing the next day or something.
Gary, I looked at his Instagram stories. He's been showing us little hints of his Canyon bike that he got through his signing with the team.
Let's have a quick look.
Very nice.
Where can I sign up for this team?
All right, guys. I think we've been reeled in by. Right, just giving Gary Miller a quick follow here. There we go. All right, we've been chatting all things racing. Let's chat about these amazing partners and companies that look after us. Cobus, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Let's go. Who's our sponsors? Let's talk about them. Let's give them some ROI.
Okay.
On the spot. There we go.
It's all ROE, sure. It's return on ego.
There we go.
So big thanks. Said that, folks. Big thanks to Uvakuter, our headline sponsor, sponsoring both the grand prizes for the male and female overall winners. Phenomenal. Thank you to Jaco Prinsloo for all of the support you're giving us on the website and the technical side as well. All of the stuff you guys have been doing in terms of Strava link ups and website engagement and these really nice badges which he's been issuing for the guy with the highest cadence and the guy who talks too much and the guy who complains too much, and that's all Jaco. So that he's made a phenomenal contribution in terms of taking what we've done to the next level. Then in terms of the grand lucky draw prize, the real gimme for the also rans who maybe aren't here to contest the overall is the elite Sweeto trainer, which will be allocated at the end of the series in a lucky draw. So thank you for N Squared. They are the distributor for Elite in South Africa, and thank you for Anthony for supporting us so generously once again. Powerbar, Trevor, thank you for supporting us off the bat. And never stopping, and we really appreciate all of the help you guys have given us. That's been phenomenal. We started this race out as the tussle, giving Powerbar hampers to our little gathering. At the time, it was just the Zwift meetup. So our meetup's winner at the time, which was really hard to determine. I used to actually use videos. We didn't have a slot. It was actually so backwards when you think about it. But it's nice to have all of the gadgets and all the gizmos now. Thank you to Trevor for supporting us so long. Then Realty Dynamics. If you guys need a realtor in the Cape Town area, give them a ring. Phenomenal guys and great support to us. BioGear, who are the local distributor for Vermark. Thank you to you for your support, and we look forward to working with that partnership. To growing this partnership and doing a lot more with you guys. And thanks to Jonathan for assistance on the digital side. That really cool intro video, which I seem to keep playing. That was Jonathan's work. Nice. And thank you to Cape Multisport for hosting all of this and sort of putting it all together. And then thank you to Sean Peters Media and Aaron Burrell.
I was just going to say, and you took it out of my mouth. I was actually just going to say thanks, Cobus, to the folks that have just joined us or are watching the different feeds. This doesn't just happen. It's the guy that you see up on your screen there by the name of Cobus Potgieter. He puts all this on. Now, let me tell you, I know something about it because I do it on a Tuesday night and on a Thursday night for motorsport from eSIM racing that's become just as big as Zwift racing. In fact, it's become massive. It's not as easy as it looks, and Cobus just looks super composed. I don't know how he does it. I don't have the camera on me when I have sim racing broadcasting because I sweat profusely and I half die pressing buttons, but Cobus has clearly got this thing down to a T. It's a great broadcast. I was commended this morning at Killarney by various guys as I was punting it through the day. Nudge, wink, wink.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Your retainer's in the mail.
I had some very high-end commissaires giving me the look of death, wondering what I was talking about, and I had to go and explain myself. And then was commended by one of them saying they do actually tune in to watch it.
Oh.
And
Lovely.
And I said, well, it's all because the guy that's in the center of the squad, I don't know where he is now, but it's in the center of my screen. It's that Cobus Potgieter guy. He puts it on and he makes it work. And then, of course, Aaron Burrell. Without him, we never had him the whole of last season because he'd be riding as well. But it's great to have him with us because he gives us a break from talking nonsense and actually talks sense because he's the technical advisor to our race format these days. And Aaron Burrell, thanks. All the way from England. Thanks, mate. You make the world of difference for the two of us that sit on this side of the water.
Yeah, I think so.
I just appreciate just being part of it. I know a lot of the guys from when I used to live in Cape Town in South Africa. It's my home. It's where I'm from. It's great to be part of this series. It's great to see the guys tuning in, the guys signing up, and it's just growing and growing. And having that massive sponsor base taking part just shows you the value something like this brings to the sport. On a different note, while we were chatting, there was a little bit of a lull in the action between Aquino and Eddie Hall. The gap between Eddie Hall and Aquino and the chasing gap got down to 12 seconds.
Sure.
Got down to 12 seconds, and then something happened. There was an attack by Aquino. He went into orange numbers. Eddie followed suit, and then it just extended again. So it just shows you, the guys just need to keep that power on. That charge was being led by Donovan Lecoq. But now Aquino, we know he's probably had a little bit of a break, and here he goes on his ego assault again. Is he going to stay away? I don't know, but he's got 13 seconds on Eddie at the moment.
That's a great gap. That's really stellar.
Yeah, it's pretty massive.
After 29 Ks of putting yourself in the hurt box like he has been doing, and then to still knock on a couple more seconds.
Look, if they get off the draw, off the dirt, and with this kind of gap between them, it's just going to be two individual time trial efforts.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely insane at the moment, guys. And if you've just joined us, folks, on the live stream, thank you for joining us. It's a Wednesday evening, in case you've forgotten. Youth Day in South Africa. We celebrated quite nicely this morning down at the Western Province Killarney Crit Race with a whole bunch of youngsters and some really good talent, guys, coming out of South Africa. I just hope we can invest in these kids. I tell you, we just have to be focused on what we're doing. Good times ahead if we know how to manage. If we know how to manage the sport in South Africa, we've got some great talent.
I was surprised they actually had it, given the higher level of lockdown we went into last night, Sean.
Yeah, Cobus. It was so far into it, they weren't going to back out. The unfortunate part, or I suppose the fortunate part, is me having to chase riders away from the venue as soon as they're finished. And I say unfortunately because it's not the type of thing myself as a commentator in the 7 years have ever wanted to say to anybody, because you want to get the guys to stay around, stick around for prize giving. We had no prize giving, no podiums, nothing official. So you came, you raced, and you had a duck.
So there's no gathering afterwards, really. That's what they're trying to avoid.
So no gathering, 100 people outside an outside venue. And I think we ran at a max of about 80 people most of the time. That's including all of us. And the guys were, that's what I was saying, the talent is here. The guys listen these days. It's no more like Aaron was saying, these massive egos where guys don't listen. Everyone was wearing their masks. It was really good to see, very encouraging, and also just a well put together event, I reckon. And I think, let's just pray that this third wave. Aaron, I'm not too sure what you guys went through. A very bad spell, probably about a month or two ago, and it looks like everyone's out. I look at the XCO from Sunday last week. Man, oh man, there were thousands of people. So clearly, in most parts of Europe, it's disappeared now. I don't know what's going on.
It's still there. There's many countries that are still dubbed what they call orange zones.
Okay.
And there is, what they do in the UK here, that they very much appreciate their seasons. There's if you look at a place like South Africa, there aren't real clear-cut seasons. The temperature is pretty much the same throughout, where in the Northern Hemisphere, each season is 100% distinct. So the minute it gets over 1 degree in the UK, they get very excited and they take their shirt off, walk around outside. And when it's the summertime, they don't want to sort of pigeonhole the people and put them in their little coops. They want them to get out, experience it. And what we saw last year, there was a little leeway given over summer, but when we went into autumn, hard lockdown again. So it's almost, in a way, they kind of give you a little bit of breathing room because they trust the people. But at the same time, the sort of Indian variant, or what they're calling it, the D variant, if it's that, or that, it is on the rise here, and some regions are sort of tripling by the day. So you don't know what's going to happen from one day to another.
I guess I don't want to talk politics, but certainly in terms of larger nations, the UK has had by far the most successful vaccination program. It does contribute. I was shocked myself watching the cricket, seeing the stadium, the grass bank packed. No social distancing was incredible. It looked like you were watching a replay from the good old days.
Yeah, I was just going to say, wouldn't you just dream about having that back again?
I would love it. If you're as slow as I am, I do races so that I can have a beer afterwards.
That socializing after it is what makes it.
Now it's only for the racing snakes races now.
Exceptional stuff, guys. Again, just it is so different watching on the studio, on the screens here. But this is the norm, guys. It's not going to go away, I don't think, for a very long time. And it makes for some exciting racing on board there with Eddie Hall now.
Gustavo's extended his lead nicely.
Yeah.
Almost 30 seconds. He's almost got 30 seconds on Eddie. Whether or not he can keep this up, I mean, he's still got, around 10 Ks to go as he makes his way out of the jungle area and back into sort of Watopia proper.
So if we have a look at our profile, I mean it's a flat TT from here, quite flat.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's quite nice. I guess that's a different type of race.
Yeah, but then I think we've got to look at the sort of South African sort of points competition, and I know we do have Eddie there in the lead. But there's still a sort of chasing group that are still in contention for a decent amount of points here.
Matheson, he is 50 plus, I believe, 50 to 54.
Yeah, Peter Matheson, great rider, and good to see his name in the mix. What's happened to Craig Boys? Just we were talking about him earlier. Our Stellenbosch resident.
Guys, I have chatted to you. I've been trying to get Craig to do this race for ages. I even bought a bike from him, and he still wouldn't come do the race. But fortunately, this year he joined Team Realty Dynamics powered by Powerball, and now it's mandatory. Yes, Craig. Craig is not a Zwift ambassador. I wouldn't. I wouldn't call him in and have an interview with him. He would have some choice routes. So we're still trying to get Craig domesticated within Zwift.
It will come, Craig. It will come.
Yeah.
It'll come. He's young.
Let me tell you, it's going to be incredible when it does, because he's quick on a bike. I know him from both road and mountain biking, and Like's no slouch on a bike, I can tell you that.
He was really good prospects as a mountain biker. I think he did finish the Cape Epic in 9th or 10th together with Louis Bresler-Knipe, which was 2013, 2014? I can't remember exactly.
Many years ago when we were a lot younger, Aaron.
Formidable mountain biker, and that pairing with Louis, they were brilliant that year. They really were.
Yeah. Some nice names that you're bringing up there now. Really good guys. I know them personally.
Yeah.
Man, I miss outside racing when we talk about guys like that.
I wonder if Louis is on Zwift.
No.
No, I don't think I don't think President Knight would ever get onto a Zwift.
If we did put him on Zwift, he would solve all Escon's problems. I can tell you.
Yeah, I think he'd break whatever he's on. Just by the way,
Guys, we've got bike shops as sponsors. Careful, but yes, Louis is a magician. That's for sure.
yeah.
I am seeing him tomorrow. In fact.
Oh, brilliant!
So I'll tell him.
Please send my regards. Tell him Big Sean says, how's it? He'll know who you're talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah, guys, 34.6 kilometers in. I think, I think we should start calling out who we think's going to take it. I think it should be fairly easy if nothing else goes completely wrong or pear-shaped. I think the man that we're on board at the moment, give or take, is going to take it, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Gustavo, followed by Eddie. I don't see the chasing group catching Eddie either in terms of our South African competition, because he's got a minute lead on that group.
If you look at the watts per kilogram and the power both Eddie and Gustavo are putting out, it's pretty even. So that gap's not going to close unless there is just an explosion for Aquino. We did see that last week, but it looks like he's riding more of a measured pace today. But then looking at the other South Africans a little further down, I mean, the only one in the mix there, I think you said it was Matthijssen and then Donovan Lecoq. So
yeah,
the way Donovan's riding now, that's a podium position for him. He's rode a really, really good race. He did try many times to get back on, but the group he was in just failed to work. And in a terrain and a race profile such as this, you need to have those guys around you that are also prepared to put in the effort.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Donovan Lecoq, we know, is Mr. Consistency. He can consistently maintain what he's doing now. I'd love for him to catch these two guys up front, but it's not going to happen right now.
No. That's highly unlikely. Just, I saw David Bailey. He had actually caught up to this. Oh, there he is. He was dropped quite heavily by the chasing group on that epic climb, and he's one of the guys that I said wouldn't get back on. So he must have put in quite an effort to get back.
Yeah, it's one of our two sort of super vets here in this group. So we've got Rick Sorensen and David Bailey, both sort of powerhouses with proven real-life credentials, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Credentials when they were much younger, though.
Possibly that too. I remember in the one chat that Voldu said that beating Rick Sorensen was a win in itself, and he was very proud of that.
Okay, great. I think Rick's in the Boston area, if I'm not mistaken. He's a prolific Zwifter.
Yes, he is.
I wonder if he's still married.
It sounds like, we have a laugh like this, but, these guys that race the sim racing from across the world, I tell you, where they find the time to sit and set these cars up and set their own times up, and man, oh man. And I'm talking grown men like the three of us and all our riders here. I don't know when they get time for wives and kids and all the rest of it. In fact, work for that matter, because, geez, I'm just listening to our management team that's talking now on WhatsApp. Just insane. These guys are practicing and setting up cars all day long. It's incredible where we find time to do what we love.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are obsessed. Let me try and get back.
What's happened to Voldu? Was that him there now? Did I just see Voldu?
No, I haven't seen Voldu for a bit.
He's dropped off this bunch a while ago already.
I don't think Voldu likes climbs like these.
No, the Vomit Comet I don't think likes these type of climbs.
No, he'll be some way off. We didn't give him a any kind of KOM to or a sprint section to target as he had last week.
Too much pressure on him. I told him that I was backing him for the win, and now he's put me on the spot here.
Ah, poor.
Made answer some serious questions.
All right, so getting close to the 40K mark now.
as you can see, what Sean was saying I don't do, I'm doing right now, sweating, because Swift isn't allowing me to get back with our leaders.
I was just going to say, it looks like we've dropped far down.
Sometimes that fan view function.
There's Gustavo. Quickly, before he disappears. And he's disappeared. I was too slow. There he is.
Yeah,
He was back. Dang it. Sorry, guys. Got him. Whew. Okay, cool.
Sure.
Back at the front. First place. 23 seconds ahead of Eddie Hull.
Yeah, there we go. Just and very close to that 40k mark now. As I was saying, just before Cobus started sweating blood there. And I know that feeling very, very well. I had it last night again. There we go. 56 minutes on the timer at the moment.
And Gustavo is averaging for the race so far 360 watts at 5.2 watts a kilogram. The man weighs just 69.
Yeah, it's huge.
Pretty incredible stats here.
Yeah.
If you do watch, Gustavo, send me your address. We need to come and verify you.
Yep.
We actually, on that note, while we do not verify our overseas riders, that would have been fun. If we had the budget, that we'd be flying me and my trainer and my suitcase all over the place. But
Hint, hint.
hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If somebody like Flight Centre want to come on board, let me know.
There we go.
But for the local guys, 3 races down, we will be starting the verification process for the leaders in all categories now. So everyone's going to be put through the ringer. I will be showing up with my trainer and my tape measure under the arm. We're going to make you do some kind of a course, just as part of what we've advertised, keeping things credible, keeping it fair for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Fair enough, Cobus. Makes 100% sense. Someone like Gustavo, he does dual record, which is all fair and well. We have mentioned some guys can tamper and do have the know-how to be able to pull the wool over eyes. People have had their questions about this riding question, but it's just wouldn't say he's 100% consistent. There have been races where he's absolutely exploded and hasn't performed. It's not like he's coming out every single race and winning. There is an element of consistency and then sort of fading and then picking up again, which in a way you could say is realistic or credible in a way. But unless you do get these guys in an arena overseas, or like you said, able to validate what he's doing, you can't do anything. You just have to take
Yes. And look, I mean, to be honest, I fully acknowledge the shortcomings of a validation process as well. Because what's going to happen now is, I jokingly said I'm going to show up at your door, but essentially you're going to be made to do a verification course under supervision using pre-calibrated equipment, and that's all good and well, but it doesn't simulate a race situation. It doesn't recreate what we've done here, unfortunately. And it and without having that situation which you just described, Aaron, the only way to truly verify is take your top 30 Zwifters in the world and put them in a room with a single sponsored and calibrated trainer, as they did with these, as they used to do before the world went to where it's gone, I guess. We had some of these events, and that's the type of thing which resolves this and really separates the credible from the less credible top flight riders. But ultimately, we've almost got to accept some shortcomings, because it is e-racing, it isn't cycling. So, if a World Tour racer gets beaten by an unknown in this environment, there might be other factors at play other than purely ability or fitness, because Zwift is a game and it's gamified, and there's a difference between this and other disciplines of cycling.
Your validation process, Cobus, is that just going to be done on a trainer with the participant's bike, or are you going to require him to use a secondary source as well, or is it just going to be on the trainer with your supervision?
So, I mean, the secondary source is tricky. Where possible, because again, there's a monetary component to this.
Yeah.
But most of these guys do have power meters on their bikes. So what it will be is precisely in line with the Zwift, the same course they use for verification, which actually includes the Epic KOM,
Yes, it does.
if I'm not mistaken. We're just going to have them ride that course on their own bike with a trainer that our sponsor Elite have provided to us.
But there's one thing also to consider, and if you're not racing something like the Zwift Racing League, you can. Well,
Gustavo takes the race. Sorry,
taking the race. So, well done, Gustavo. Top effort. But
top effort.
Coming back to a race like this, participants can technically use their power meter as the power source and the trainer as the controllable. So we could possibly see discrepancies between the validation test and what they're doing here. That's why it's probably recommended that if they can, those riders that are doing that, they bring along their bike with their power meter, and then you can compare that power meter data with the data from the trainer that you're letting them use, Quibus. Because there's going to be that discrepancy without a doubt.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, if they have been dual recording, you should be able to identify that discrepancy without much fuss. I think. Look, I agree, and we're aware of the shortcomings of the process. It's not that we're unrealistic about that. I guess you're only going to, similar to what has occurred in real world, in real life, you're only gonna catch out the obvious cheats, the ones that are performing way beyond their abilities. The guy who's trying to gain half of what's a kilogram, a clever cheat who hasn't gotten greedy, you're probably not going to catch him.
No.
Yeah.
And in all likelihood, as I've pointed out before, and this was something which frustrated a lot of people when we started the tussle. We had in excess of half the riders with us, way in excess, were new to Zwift because it was driven by a need. It was driven by lockdown at the time.
Yeah.
So people were buying trainers, getting onto trainers. People with dumb trainers plus smart trainers, all using Z Power, were getting on, and some of them literally didn't know how to calibrate equipment. Yaku actually helped develop a protocol which helped us identify uncalibrated trainers based on inconsistent heart rate to what's per kilogram matches. And I could actually ring up a rider and tell them, listen, you've got uncalibrated equipment. And some of them had to come back to earth very, very hard. Unfortunately, you spend 3 months in lockdown and you think, oh geez, I must have gotten so fit. I'm beating some of the country's best pros in Zwift, and then at some stage the penny drops. So there was a lot of that. I think we've moved beyond that. Most of the top guys now know what they're doing with their equipment, but I think it's still important to us and still important to our top participants that we go through this process of validation.
Agreed.
Okay, guys, I cannot get us back to any of the race participants. It's again, the fan views made it difficult for me. I try to get back to Donovan, but it seems I can't. Sorry about that. I was hoping to.
Pacer bot. There's a Pacer bot who actually wasn't racing Masters. It would be nice if one did.
It would actually. It would be great. This is some sort of point of reference. Here we go.
See that guy there, Sean? That crazy sort of translucent yellow chip over there is what Zwift calls a Pacer bot. So what happens if you sign up on Zwift when you load it and you don't want to do a race and you don't want to ride by yourself, but you want to ride at a particular sustainable watts per kilogram. As you can see, his name is Dan Diesel. He's riding at a consistent 1.5 watts per kilogram. That will be done for the entire day forever. You can just join in. You can sign up on Zwift, click join this chap here. And then if you're doing a recovery ride or whatever, there are a couple of bots. You get ones that ride at 3 watts, one at 4, one at 5. You can ride with this chap and he just sets the pace. He's a pacemaker and you can just stay at that wattage you want. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so brilliant. I was actually just, you sort of jumped ahead of me there. I was going to say, because I was listening to how you guys were talking about the credibility and and what goes on behind the scenes. Now, for a person like myself that's just sitting on this side listening to you guys, and I'm sure there's listeners that, I'm just looking at the amount of people that are tuning in on the other screen. It does get overwhelming. I mean, I want to get into it, but I'm overwhelmed just listening to what you guys are saying. Where does one start?
I'm overwhelmed right now.
And I mean, you're a technical guy. I mean, you know these things back to front. So, I mean, this is a family show, but I almost want to crap myself when I just listen to the two of you guys going at it there. Where do I start? What do I do? Is there a Zwift? I mean, getting back to, and I know we've got to move on here, but getting back to eSIM racing, it's got so big now that there's guys doing coaching on how to set the car up, how to drive better in your sim. It is insane, guys.
Zwift is quite in depth as well.
That's what I'm saying.
If you just Google this evening's course, you'll find long discussions around what are the best bikes, what are the best tactics. Yes. Guys have been running simulations on different bikes and timed this thing to the millisecond to choose the right equipment. So it's a world in of itself. But like anything, cycling gets complicated as well. Just get the trainer, load Zwift onto your phone or your laptop, and start riding. And you'll get into it, in of itself. It should be fun. Off the bat, And if you enjoy it, like we said, if you enjoy something, you'll find time for it.
Yeah. And you'll find out how to better yourself as well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, guys, discount codes. So,
yes.
Thank you, Powerball. If you guys want a 15% discount at checkout, go to powerball.sa.co.za, and once you've selected everything you like, you can get a 15% discount at checkout using the code RDX Cycling. Similarly, if you go to Bicycle Gear, that's the Vermark logo that I put up on screen earlier. Hashtag RDX Cycling at checkout. That'll get you a 10% discount at Bicycle Gear. You can see they've got a whole lot of great equipment available as well. So please go support them, and by supporting them, you support us as well. And then, of course, I should probably mention the Lucky Draw.
Yeah.
We just get to that.
Something really cool.
Yeah. The coolest. There we go. So, Lucky Draw for an elite suitor trainer. If you want to get into Zwift, this is the best piece of equipment you can get. A wheel-off direct drive indoor trainer. So all you need to do to contest is complete 7 of the 8 races. You don't need to win. You don't need to do well. All you need to do is finish them, and your name will go into the lucky draw. We're actually considering dropping that to 6 because of the major load shedding disruption we had last week, where we lost about half the field.
2 weeks ago.
Yes. So let me just get back to you guys on that. But so we're probably going to move that to 6 to be kind. But come join us, and you could win this amazing prize simply by your participation, which is really quite nice. We're going to do that at the final events evening at Cycles Direct from Blowback. So that'll be another live event with Sean and myself, and another lucky draw for our grand prize.
Yeah, very cool. Cannot wait for that.
Thanks a lot, gents, and I look forward to doing this again next week.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Quibus. Thanks, Sean. Good chat to you guys again. I'm gonna be really looking forward to getting together again next week.
Yeah. Likewise. Thanks to the two of you, Aaron, all the way from England. It's been great having you in studio with us. Quibus for pressing all the right buttons for most part of this evening. To all our amazing sponsors, you guys just don't know how much it means to us as riders for coming on board, and to all of you riders, blessed to have you on board with us. It's been a fantastic Wednesday, and we cannot wait for next week, Wednesday. Please tune in at 6:15 next week, Wednesday, right here on these same channels. We'll catch you then. From myself, Shauno, and from the rest of the crew, it's a cheers from me.
Bye, everyone.